Reversed, the dead man's voice stops screaming and calmly speaks the name of a star, Gliese 445. Mara froze at the console, headphones pressed to her skull. 40 light years away sat the star where, the legend swore, she would die. She'd spent 9 years killing signals like this. Ghost voices in static, numbers in noise. Every haunted recording had a dull answer, and Mara always found it. Pareidolia, faulty tape, wishful ears. She believed in the boring truth. She had to. The file came from the old myths, the lost cosmonauts, Cold War amateurs near Turin who claimed they'd caught men and women dying in orbit before Gagarin ever flew. Disputed, debunked, never confirmed. But someone had digitized their reels, and this one kept looping. The transmission ran 90 seconds, then began again. Identical. A man's voice, Russian, exhausted, reporting a hull breach that never resolved, reporting his oxygen, his fear, his falling pulse. The same words forever, from someone the records insist never existed. Mara did it right. A distress loop isn't a sound file. It's a radio carrier, modulated with voice and telemetry. She demodulated it clean, stripped the hiss, watched the waveform bloom green across her screen. And that was when the first wrong thing showed itself. A real orbiting transmitter drifts in frequency as it sweeps towards you and away. The Doppler curve, the fingerprint of something truly moving through space. This carrier didn't drift, not a hair, flat as a drawn line, as if it came from nowhere that moved, or nowhere at all. The legend had one instruction: reverse the loop. Backmasking, simple, real, just the waveform flipped in time. Speech played backward becomes garbled phonemes, nothing more. Mara knew that. She reversed it anyway, half to prove the story wrong, half because her hands were already moving. This is where reason speaks up, she told herself. The mind hunts meaning in chaos, faces in clouds, names in noise. The same trick behind every ghost voice recording ever sold. Whatever she heard next, her brain would be building it out of scraps. That was the rule. But the reversed loop didn't garble, it sharpened. The dying man's panic smoothed into something patient, deliberate, wrong. And out of the backward hiss came letters and numbers spaced like a catalog designation. Gliese 445, a star, a real one. She had memorized that sky. Her skeptic's mind lunged for the physics. No signal is live across light years. A star 40 light years off means any voice from it left before she was born. There is no real-time distress from the deep. So either this was ancient beyond any cosmonaut, or it never came from there. She wasn't the first here. In the archive drawer, she found Kessler's notebook, the analyst before her, the one who'd resigned without explanation. Pages of reversed transcripts, and beside each one, in shaking pencil, a different star, HD 140, Gliese 832. Never the same designation twice. That was the heart of the legend Kessler had written in the margin. The loop never names the same star twice. It names one for each listener. Yours, the single point of light somewhere overhead that the dead man says is waiting to kill you. He'd underlined it 3 times. Under his own star, Kessler had written the date. Mara checked the personnel file with a dry mouth. The date he'd scrawled beneath his Death Star, that was the day he'd walked out of the building and never been seen again. Not proof, she told herself. Coincidence. Pareidolia of the calendar. So she attacked it like the skeptic she was. She ran spectral analysis on the reversed audio, hunting the seams of a hoax, an editor's cut, an inserted phrase that tells of a fabricated voice. She found none. The catalog numbers weren't spliced in. They were woven through the original grain. There was one test left, and she'd been avoiding it. Kessler heard a different star than the tape's forward loop. So did the woman before him. The designation, the note said, changes for whoever truly listens. Mara had only skimmed it once. She hadn't listened. Not fully. Not yet. She reversed the loop again, and this time she gave it everything. Every nerve, eyes closed, breath held. The dying man exhaled backward into words. And the star he named was not Gliese 445. It was different. Personal. A designation she had somehow always half known. HD 184,000. She opened the catalog. The star sat almost directly above her station tonight, low in the northern window. Her hands were ice. Rational, she begged herself. Your brain reached into the noise and pulled out a number that felt like fate. That is all this ever is. And she almost believed it, because the rational answer was airtight. Reversed audio hides no messages unless deliberately recorded backward. The mind manufactures names from chaos. The lost cosmonauts never died because they never flew. Every thread of this was legend, apophenia, Cold War rumor. Every thread, except the carrier, the flat frequency. No Doppler, no drift, no source that moved. A hoax should still ride a real transmitter with a real curve. This one had none. It behaved like nothing physics allowed. A voice with no origin, repeating, patient, that had waited in a drawer for someone to reverse it. She should have deleted it, logged it disputed, unverified, closed the file the way she'd closed 100 others. Instead, she sat in the humming dark and played the loop one final time. Forward, honest, the dying man screaming his 90 seconds. And she asked the empty room a question. Who assigns the stars? She whispered. The forward loop reached its end and did not restart. For the first time in decades of recording, it broke pattern. 3 seconds of silence. Then, the dead man's voice, forward, awake, said her name. Just her name, and began to loop again. Mara did what Kessler did. She stood, left the headphones swinging, and walked out under the northern sky where HD 184000 hung waiting. She never filed a report. The archive lists her as resigned. The date of her last badge scan matched, of course, the one the loop had given. You want it to be nothing. A hoax stacked on a myth, stacked on the brain's hunger for meaning. Most of it is. The cosmonauts are legend. The reversal reveals only what you bring to it. Sit with that comfort as long as it holds. It usually holds. Usually. But the file is still in the archive, still looping, 90 seconds at a time, waiting for the next honest listener to reverse it. It will name a star for you too, yours alone. And somewhere above you tonight, that single point of light is already burning. Patient, ancient, and unshifting.